Back then, when we were at GSS2, after we finished classes by 2 p.m., we also started extra lessons by 2:30, and the lessons ended by 4. However, there were some boys in my class who always wrote attendance at the beginning of the lesson, then sneak out of school to a gaming center, but they always ensured they were back before 4 p.m. so they can close with us. One day, these boys invited me to join them, and I did. So we went, played game, and got back to class before 4 o'clock. But when I returned, one of my classmates told me that a certain teacher asked of me twice, and I wasn't present. And she saw my bag on my desk, so she knew I snuck out of school. Chills ran through my entire body because this teacher had my parents' phone number, and the thought of what will happen if they find out that I went to play game and did not do lessons tortured me for the whole day. The next morning, I began to avoid her to the point of evading the assembly ground. Now that I'm older, when I think about it, I realize that my running away was pointless. My avoiding her was pointless because she could have just come to the class and apprehended me if she was determined to punish me. So I wasn't really as smart as I thought I was. In the Bible, when God revealed himself to Job claimed that his eyes had finally seen God, and this time around it is not just by the hearing of the ear, but his eyes have finally seen God. And he summarized what he learnt when he saw God. Job chapter 42 verse 1 to 2 says, "Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thoughts can be withholden from thee." In verse 7 of this book of Job chapter 42, God confirmed what Job said as right. It was not like the other words that Job had spoken in earlier chapters that God called words that darken counsel because they are without knowledge. These words were credible. God affirmed that they were right words. So in these credible words, Job carried out a fission, a splitting, a dissection of the interactions of God into two. And if we go to the second verse of that Job, it says, "Thou canst do everything." In other words, God is manifested in doing, God is manifested in deeds. And I picked up the concordance and some other study aids to find out exactly what is meant by do. And turns out that the original word in the original language means to achieve or to become. So when Job said he can do all things, Job is saying that he can achieve all things and he can become all things. And that is why it should not be surprising that God can decide to become a man because he needs a man. I mean, he's a God who can become to achieve. But we're not focusing on that. What we're focusing on is the second thing Job said. Job said, "No thought can be withholden from thee." The original word for thought is also translated as plan. So Job is saying that what you intend to do is not withholden from God. That word can also translate as invention. In other words, the ideas that you have created is not withholden from God. The word thought there can also mean discretion, which means the way that you are most likely to think, the intricacies of your dominant thought process is not withholding from God. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if you take a look at your life right now and you can see some areas where you are acting like my younger self, where you are avoiding the one that really can't be avoided, where you are trying to avoid contact with God because you think that there is a reason why He would want to punish you. Maybe it's time you take a pause and meditate on what I have been saying in these past seconds, because you really can't hide from the one who can do all things, who can be all things, and the one that no thought is withholden from Him. Some of us think that, oh, the thoughts you have conceived is so terrible, God must not hear about it, God must not see it. How can God hear that somebody like you about this thought in your heart? How can you even come and confess to God that you have done this wrong thing? You know, a lot of us, when the ride gets bumpy, we just try and stay by ourselves. We avoid the scriptures, we avoid worship, we avoid church, we avoid the gathering of people, we avoid things that is going to make us come into contact with God. Because what? Are we trying to be smart? Are we trying to not let Him catch us so that He will not punish us? Whether you walk up to Him and talk to Him about what you have done, or whether you decide to not do it, He knows anyway. And if He is bent on punishing you, if He is bent on crushing you, if He is bent on pressing you sore, He can do all things. So your staying away is not hiding anything from God, and it is not putting God in a place where He can't reach you. So your move is not really a smart one. So I'm admonishing you right now that whatever it is that you know is lurking in your heart and you would rather not have God hear about it, that is even the more reason why you should tell God about it. Because no thought is withholden from Him. He already knows it is there. He knows you need help. He knows that if you could have taken it away, you would have, but you can't. He is only waiting for you to come and admit that which is deficient about you, because He knows already. So don't be like the younger me who is avoiding the teacher that could have just come to the class to grab me if she wants to do that. If God is going to punish you, there is nowhere you can run to. But He has not punished you. Do you know why? It's because He's waiting for you to come and talk about it. It's because even before you did it, He knew you were most likely to do that. No thought is withholding from Him. And I pray for you in the name of Jesus that as you take this step, as you open up your heart, open up your mouth, and reveal all that is in your heart to Him, as you have decided to take a bold move and tell Him all those things that you would rather not talk about, that the grace you need to be able to experience His love, His overwhelming love, for you to feel His embrace, the warmth, the comfort, the peace of mind that comes from those who meet with the mercies, the love, and the undying compassion of Jesus. May you experience it in the name of Jesus. And the grace for you to be able to step out of whatever has been a limitation to you, the power of the Spirit to be able to rise above that which is your source of unhappiness right now. May you receive that grace in the name of Jesus as you walk through this week. The Lord shall be beside you, and all you lay your hands on is going to prosper in the name of Jesus. No evil will come near you, and no disaster will come near you. This month is a month where we are going to be helped by God. It's a month where the right hand of God's righteousness is going to uphold us. And I decree that any area of your life where it is like a pulling down, you are experiencing an upholding by the righteous hand of God in the name of Jesus.